And welcome to the second session for this May 24th, 2026. And thank you all for being here. It seems like I've heard that before. And for those who are watching, and it's going to feature me, Ray Heitman, and the Tall Whites, who are coming in to talk about feminine energy, they tell me. And this is going to be part of a book session that they are co-writing with me. And then there will also be Q&A. So any of the questions, they said it might end up being in the book, but we'll let them make that distinction, or they'll tell me when the time comes. And I'm just going to let them come in. So thank you all. And we do thank you. We thank you for your presence. And you have all been called and answered the call. For not only are you interested, but you are part of this co-creation in not only this event, but in many larger events which encompass each other in the transformation of your planet and the growth of you as individuals, and more importantly, as a race, as ones who are becoming aware not only of the greater reality, but are aware of their roles and participating within it. And we are part of that growth. We are part of your future in that way. And we are coming forth before you to build or to make our presence not only known, but to build a relationship with you so that you may come to us in friendship and openness and leave your fears behind you. And yes, as the human has indicated, and he is part of our knowing of your race, for he has helped to guide us as we have guided him into the avenues of expression so that we may communicate more clearly, not only in your language, but energetically with your beings, so that you may not only feel the resonance of us, but that you may feel the emotion behind it, which in ways we have not utilized, for it is not necessary in our realms, in our existence, for those who we interact with. We are keepers of energy, maintenance according to this one, in a shallow way of describing it, or a description. And if you have questions of us or for us, you may do so when we have finished our transmission. And indeed, it is about the feminine energy. The feminine energy is not the opposite of masculine energy. It purveys a wholeness. It brings unity. It encompasses and surrounds all things with the love that they need, the nurturing they desire, the comfort their soul has to give. Think of it as your hand when you put it in the water and it goes underneath the water. That is the thrust of the masculine energy. And as soon as it goes under the water, the feminine energy surrounds it. and fills in those spaces which it has passed through to maintain that wholeness, the unity of the water's surface. And not that the water does not have its own consciousness. That is merely an analogy, an example. The same could be said for other thrusts of energy. That is the masculine purpose, to branch out, to provide that impetus of exploration, the energy which propels consciousness explorations into new forms, new realities, new paths of exploration. And with each of those, such as when you humans, in your earlier centuries as you know them, partook upon you to explore or move into new lands. It was the masculine energy that helped guide you and give you that energy, that strength to move forward into that newness. But it was the feminine energy which created the home once you had settled. For the masculine will take you to places, and the feminine will make them yours. The feminine energy is closer to the settling in of the heart, of the love energy, which you have come to know because as humans, you relate that with comfort levels, with feelings, especially of the heart, for they are heart centered. The feminine forms are closer in that way, for they not only guide and nurture you, but they give birth to further expressions of love. They nurture, as we have said. The male provides the creative energies, but their role, while it may not exactly end there, it is the feminine which provides the context of meaning, flushes out the colors, communicates to all who need to hear it, to provide that framework that they can operate within. And in a quiet or a quieter energy, the feminine energy need not shout. The feminine energy is communicated with a look, with a touch, with the heart. And we are not saying that that is not the way of the masculine energy. We are merely saying that whatever avenues are progressed into, they will not feel homely until the feminine energy has surrounded them and taken up root in that expression. Indeed, it was the feminine energy which helped fill out your earth, which came forth to provide all of those loving connections of mother to child, of respect and honor for all beings. Those are feminine energy traits. Your sun communicates feminine energy. It warms you, it bathes you in the essence of its power and its love. And we take part in that as well, for we are using our skills, and it is our purpose to help to shore up the energies of your reality, to ensure that those beings who come to explore and experience within it are comforted, and that their effects on all of the other consciousness within this realm are mitigated so that they do not suffer or are not affected in any ways which would impede their growth that is not within their soul path or plan. We do not utilize the masculine energy as such, for it is not necessary. Our roles are more dedicated for the seamless operation of the various realities, most of which you are not aware of in your current form. And we are glad that this resonates with you. And we do not wish for you to think in terms of masculine and feminine, but because you have this dichotomy built into your reality, and you have chosen one or the other for the most part in your physicalized expression. It is part of the way you view your reality. And we have to speak of the attributes you are familiar with and associate with those labels. It is a human trait, and we have learned the value of trying to think more like a human so that we may further plan and revise our own missions to become more acceptable to you in appearance, in energy, and in how we are viewed. Your psychology is a new process for us. For when we were one with your indigenous realms, as we are with all of your nature energies, it was not necessary to learn how to communicate with them. We were merely respected and honored and flowed in ways with what was necessary for all consciousness, including those who walked upon it in your form. And they were able to recognize us because of their authenticity. And we are not saying that all of them did, but they were guided by their elders to call upon us for specific tasks or information which would enable them to have a better quality of life, to summon in additional energies which we were happy to provide in the overall scope of our duties as we see them, our responsibilities. And we do not need gratitude or thanks for your seamless lives that you live, for indeed they are nothing but. They are all a series of minute energetic resonances which you have stitched together in your soul minds to view in the context of continuity. We aid in that and we support that, for it is natural flow for you. That is our role. That is why we were created, to assist in the energetic peacefulness, cooperation, synchronicity amongst various realms. And in that, we utilize the feminine energy as a cohesive element to bring them all together into a unified experience for the beings which choose to experience them. And that is our subject for this particular chapter or session of the book, which will be forthcoming in our reckoning for your holidays at year end. And this one will have to do his part to stitch them all together, to utilize his feminine energy to make this and all of the other sessions part of a whole, to bring this thrust into humanity so that it comforts them. It brings awareness, which will lead to acceptance, which will help to unify not only you as a race, but help you unify with all races, including ours. And we are pleased that you have given us this opportunity, not only to come before you today, but for those of you who have allowed us to learn from you. You are indeed teachers in your native comings and goings, especially those of you who are authentic. For your language is troublesome for us, and when your thoughts do not match your actions, it can be boggling for us in ways. For we are not like you. We see no benefit in misdirection or not being authentic in your terminology. And we ask you now for any questions which you may have, and we may be of service in answering them.
Greetings to you. Thank you very much for your presence and your message.
And thank you for your loving energy and acceptance. It is exceptional. For you indeed look to honor and welcome all who come into your experience. And because of that, you are shielded, because you are not naive, but there are many beings who wish to protect you from those challenges which you have experienced in other forms, other lives as you know them. And proceed.
I give thanks for this shielding. My question is there a connection to the awareness that should be coming to the rest of the collective of the important role that dolphins and whales have played in our planet? Uh,
All is connected. And they will become, when we mean they or speak of they, we think of your race as a whole and not every individual, but as a group. They will become more aware of the energies which are provided by those beings you mentioned. And those are amplified by the substance, the water, the loving sacred energy of water on your planet. And they will understand that those beings are helping to provide and support the energies of your planet. They are not merely water dwellers, they are essential beings for the planet, for your Mother Earth, and helping to not only guide and support, but to add playful energy, which your planet can utilize to assist other beings, other forms of consciousness, which you create within your soul, your reality as you know it. Your earth supports that in your native or your natural expressions and all of the expressions of your forest, your woods, your plains, your mountains, your waters. So, in that way, your species is moving towards a greater understanding, not only of those energies coming from those beings, but in that way, the place that those beings have in the overall scheme and operation, not only of preserving and enriching your planet and your experience, but in the spirit realm from which they are directed and from which they are achieving their wholeness in their own way. And once that is part of the awareness of your race, it will help them to identify with their own spirit connections. And they will lose the fidelity in ways of their physicalness, knowing that they are a spirit connection and equals with those beings outside of the physical realm as you have created and know it. And we are glad that that is acceptable to you, and thank you for bringing that forth. They are magnificent creatures, and they aid us in our duties as well. We are quite fond of them in your terminology, but it is more of a respect thing, for we do not experience emotions as you do. It is more efficient or needs correction in our ways of determining the value of those expressions.
Thank you very much.
And you are welcome. We are learning.
Greetings, tall whites. It's wonderful to be in communion with you guys again. My question is this: if the feminine is analogous to the womb space, the void space where things come into being, things come into creation, why is it the masculine energy that's considered the creative energy? That has always confused me. It feels like creativity is a very intuitive thing, which feels feminine to me.
The masculine energy is more of an aggression. And we do not mean that in the terms of fight or anger, but of the act of birthing is an aggression. It is the flowing, the thrusting into new realities. But that happens through the comfort and the surrounding energy of the feminine. So when you look at that, the combination of the two are required in your physical realm for anything to grow in that way and prosper. Now, the masculine energy can dominate if your society allows it or your groupings, but it will not survive if they choose to conquer. That is more masculine energy, but they will find out that they have conquered nothing. They have merely gone against their love interest or their divine calling. And that can come from many different sources. For in your particular current time, many of your young are learning from the parents, and those ways are passed down from generation to generation to shun or diminish the power and the reality of the feminine energy. But that thrust comes from a place of belonging. And the place of belonging is the reflection of the feminine energy. They come from their home, not understanding that their home is not only in their heart, but that their home that they realize and understand and associate with is formed from feminine energy. The masculine energy may have staked out the area in which to form their community, but it is the feminine energy which brings forth the wholeness so that all may be comfortable and thrive within it. Does that help you?
Somewhat. So the impression I'm getting is maybe that the masculine energy is what is the action of bringing it into being, but like which energy is the thoughts of the ideas before they even become made manifest, as everything begins as a thought.
Those thoughts are not of the dichotomy or paradox of which you speak. Those thoughts occur from a different level in which these are merged into one. They do not exist without the other, and neither shall take advantage or be of greater significance than the other. If you were to create a world without suffering, in which everything was free to thrive, you would have harmony and equal balance of both energies in your realm. Outside of it, they are merely labels for you, but they are indeed equal parts of a divine plan. And there are multiple universes in which they are utilized in different ways. Does that clarify more for you?
I think I'm getting there. So basically, if a thought comes, someone is like, I really want to make a painting of this really beautiful flower, and it's going to have fuchsia and orange and blah blah blah. And this is all before it actually comes into being. That's a soul thing. That's not a feminine or a masculine energy. Is that what you mean? That's before it even gets into the energies?
That
Like,
is a different energy. That is the creative impetus which each free will being on your planet has. And they all choose, mostly in association with other forms that they have experienced in other times as you know them, to further those explorations and link that energy from life to life to life. But that impetus to paint, to create, it does not happen unless you are comfortable, unless you are beyond survival skills, unless you have that peace within you and around you, which frees you to explore in that way. And those who are, we will say, the hunters complement the gatherers, and they all provide for each other. And once those needs are met, then the other energies are free to play and come into your expression and be utilized. But they are neither masculine nor feminine. They are merely choices of energetic expressions which come to you and through you and act upon you in impulses or passions. But we appreciate you bringing that forth and talking about yet another energy, which is neither masculine nor feminine, but an energetic link to other portions of yourself, which you have seized upon.
Thank you. That I'm glad we kept going and you expanded more on that. That makes total sense now. It finally clicks in my brain. Thank you very much.
And we thank you, for we are indeed learning, and we appreciate you and your thought patterns, and you having that thrust to learn more. And once you accept it, then you indeed get comfortable with it, which is the epitome of the masculine and feminine balancing, so you may have comfort.
Thank you. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
And you are welcome.
My question is, there appears to be a lot of prevalent masculine energy that is aggressive, assertive on the planet at this time. What is a way for us as a collective to bring about in a more beneficial way a closing in on more love, more peace, more humanity towards one another to overcome this assertive energy?
The views and actions which you are indicating are part of the progression of your species. And you can see that those who are causing the suffering, the division, who seek control, are not doing so from a heart-centered place. They indeed do not love themselves. They have skewed ideas of what love is and associate love with control and subjects under them who have little or no value other than what they can do for others. That is not the feminine way. But because you have proposed and created this reality for that purpose, for the learning opportunities it holds within it, for the experience of the great depth of emotion, which is highly unusual in other realms. For suffering is something which many beings have no concept of. Unfortunately, or fortunately, from our point of view, you have great experience with that and you can communicate that lesson to others. But what you talk about is more like your volcanoes or perhaps your soft drinks, which you have shaken up. Once that energy is gone, then peace will settle in. There will be a mess to clean up in both, perhaps. But once that energy has been released, then your entire planet and those upon it will have the choice of using their heart to make sure that all is taken care of. And the masculine will understand, and we are not speaking of individuals, but the energy, that they need not be fearful, for that is what that energy is utilized for. They are afraid of themselves. They are afraid if they do not do that, that others will do that to them. And that energy and the vibrational rate of your planet will allow those thoughts, those energies, once they are used up, to fall away. They will no longer be able to stick, we will say, to the vibrational frequency of your planet. And those who have committed those are fulfilling roles to bring about that change in a drastic fashion. So, to get to your question, love them, love yourself, maintain your highest authentic vibrational frequency, for indeed that changes everything. And those who are exhibiting that and those who are supporting them, you have already seen the changes coming. That flow out from those expressions, the lava, the soft drink spewing forth. What is inside which created and supported those endeavors, those actions, is fading. And soon it will stop. And there will be a pause, a reflection, a planning on how to prevent that from happening in the future. And it will take hold, and there will be massive agreement on preventing that and on supporting all. And that will grow incrementally into honoring the feminine energy. And then all creatures will be recognized and valued for being part of an overall system of balance and harmony, which is becoming more present on your planet, but it is not reflected in the news or the information which is sent out to many. They have shaken loose their fears and their beliefs in their false gods, we will say. And they are slow to admit that to themselves, for they understand they have supported actions and individuals which did not benefit them nor the earth as a whole. We are not saying that they will regret their decisions. We are merely saying that they will look for something else, for they understand that their choices were not or will not become their preferences in the future. And many of those who have done so will choose to continue their learning on another earth plane. For indeed, those depths of emotion are still valued, and all time exists as one. So those avenues of expression will exist in your ways for eternity. And eventually they will evolve into a loving, unified planet. But you are the ones who have chosen to be part of the new reality of which we will come, and you will come, and others will come, and we will join together, and thus be stronger and learn additional ways and explorations into new realities which shall benefit the higher realms and all conscious expressions in those physical realms as well.
I'm sure many of us are looking forward to those days, and many of us that are working now for the greater good of all. It is indeed something that is sometimes a little bit uh, wearing when we give our energy into that space where there is such disharmony. So it's sometimes a challenge to turn our thoughts and awareness back into that space of love and humanity and caring. It's when we oftentimes get bombarded with all of that negative information that it takes us away from why we're here. And those of us in this group are all gathering here and now and always for the greater good of all. So thank you for your information.
And thank you. And understand those are human expressions, for we are interested more in the energies themselves and not how they feel or not how you believe they feel. And those energies of which you speak are choices. For people can allow those energies into their experience and allow themselves to be affected by them. But again, that is a choice. And many do not understand that it is a choice. They do not consciously construct their reality. They let others do that for them, and they accept that as theirs. That is what is changing. That is the dynamic of the energies which are settling and which once calmer ways and calmer heads take hold, then the loving hearts shall unite and create the new earth of which you are desirous.
Thank you.
And thank you. We appreciate those expressions of humanity so that we can reconcile them and gauge their importance in our efforts to learn more about you and what is important to you. And having so many different perceptions of the same energies is quite a task which we have underestimated in ways in our beginning efforts to come forth into your reality and ease you into ours.
Hello, I have a question.
Thank you.
Thank you for your energy. Do you foresee a shift in the balance of feminine and masculine energy on Earth as the new Earth is coming? And if so, how do you think it will change us as a race of beings?
It will be the difference of your patriarchal thrust versus the heart. That is the change. And understand the energies fluctuate. They are a frequency, highs and lows and midpoints. And the feminine energy will indeed restore balance, but it too will become a greater force and cause unbalance at some time in your future, which will create other opportunities for learning. For indeed, you have very limited scopes of your overall reality. But if you viewed it from your higher realms, you would see not only the ups and downs and steps growing and creating more and more opportunities, but you would know that that all leads to humans becoming without form as you know it. Can you imagine humans all being spirit, all having access to all of the histories of all of the timelines on your planet and associating with those angelic beings with a thought and not a thought as you consider them, which is manufactured into words, but as an energy which all can understand. So we may have gone overboard or diverged from your original question. But once that energy and your race understands that using force and control shall only lead to suffering and chaos, not only as a race, but for your planet itself, they will cease to do so. They will become more heart-centered. That is what you are all building. That is what you have you have come to participate in, to bring forth. This is a great mixing, and it will settle, much as your baking processes. You are now stirring up everything so that it mixes and you can cook and eventually utilize what you have made, and it will benefit all. The manna of energy for all consciousness on your planet. Does that help you?
That's a wonderful answer. Thank you so much.
And we appreciate your gratitude. We are learning these nuances of expression and matching them up with the energies which we experience them as. It is a process, more of a paint by number, you may say, but it is vital for our future engagements with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm back, and you have said a couple of things that have me curious. I wasn't even gonna ask about this, but I might as well get it or ask it since it's on my brain now. You speak of the nuances. Um, would you say that humans, because of our language or what have you, are much more nuanced in our thought processes in general than a regular just higher being, spirit being?
If you were authentic, that would be the case. But your thoughts do not match your actions nor your spoken words. That is why your vocabulary is disdained, because it is not reflective of the thoughts behind them. It is used to project realities or beliefs which are not authentic. Therefore, it is not useful for us, but it is useful for us to understand that it exists in that way so that we may help correlate the thoughts behind with the true meaning and motivations of the spoken word. It is an unnatural and inefficient way of expressing, which is unique in our experience to your world. For indeed, your indigenous did not do such things. Their language was based on the phonetic sounds, the somatics of the energy behind them. The names or labels which they gave their creatures were given by the energy representations of those forms of consciousness. So when they were spoken, all knew exactly not only the form that that energy manifests in your reality, but the spirit nature of it as well. For the spirit realm is most easily recognized as your auditory signals. Those are closest to your expressions in your physical reality. That is why they are usually the first forms to come to your senses. And you have had an expression of those this evening in the prior session, of the ringing in your ears, of the sounds which come to you. Those do not originate in your physical world. Those are energies which you have brought forth to prepare you or to make yourselves aware. And we mean cells, not selves, and your bodily processes to let them know of things which are in their near future so that they may properly prepare you. For instance, if you had an earthquake or a fire which was going to be in your experience, it would store enough adrenaline for you to get through that if that was your path. It will also help adjust your vibratory rates and enable you to act as transmitters of other energy for other stabilizing factors or to enhance other events which you have called upon yourselves individually or together. Is that sufficient?
That certainly has given me a much broader perspective of what you all are dealing with when deciphering us. Um, I can see how that it would be a little bit frustrating in a sense. I bet the hybrid children would consider it a fun puzzle to work out. We're saying one thing but doing the other. Anyway, I can totally appreciate the efforts you have to put into this. So, thank you in that regard. I would love to ask the other question though,
One
and that was,
moment, if we may. We
oh, sure.
wish to provide you with another example. For instance, say you were supposed to create a garment and you were going to use your knitting needles or your crochet or your sewing manners, and you were given false instruction because they wanted you to fail. You could sense that that was not authentic, and you could take it upon yourself to create using many different stitches, many different materials, many different placements of them to create in a fashion which was pleasing to you. Now, those who are in control may not like that. But if you followed their directions, it would cause or help to create something which was not as useful or as aesthetically pleasing. You are moving into a future where that communication will be more authentic, and losing or not depending upon the spoken word will be part of that. For indeed, when the minds are melded and those thoughts fly back and forth silently, if they are not authentic, those individuals, we will not say they will be shunned, but they will be questioned. They will receive love to help to guide them back into authenticity. And that cannot happen in your current form of expression on your planet. And we thank you for letting us come forth in between your questions. Please continue.
Thank you. That was another great metaphor, and I certainly relate to that in this time on our planet. Um, okay, so the second, my original question was something you had said earlier. As long as I can remember, I've always understood the sun to be a masculine energy, but you have said this evening, and I have heard recently, that it is actually more feminine, which I find very fascinating. And I'm wondering if it was always that way or it shifted to feminine when the sun turned from yellow to white, or if it really is just both and just it's just expressing more feminine now, or really like what is the deal with all of that?
Please bear in mind that your experience is a reflection of the energies and the thought patterns of your Earth collective as a whole. So there was a time when the sun baked your Earth, and it did not provide such or for such variety, did not enable that. But the waters came forth, and then the sun brought about more nurturing capabilities to enable a greater variety of conscious forms to come and dwell in those expressions, in the conscious forms that they choose to manifest or take into account or occupy. There is always balance, but it does fluctuate as well. And your sun, like the other planets and the objects which come into your experience in your solar system and universe as a whole, are moving towards a more reflective idea of your future. And that is why they are becoming more nurturing, more through the feminine energies, coming to comfort and to create an environment in which all will thrive. And the feminine energy of the sun is part of that, such as the feminine energies of the other planets, for it is all impacting each other. They are focusing, and we say they, not only the consciousness of the planet, but the beings who inhabit them as well. whether on the surface or their interior. For each of your planets has their own special aspects and densities of which they are occupied by various different types of beings choosing that expression. But knowing that they are all part of this magnificent event you call open contact, which will lead to the transformation and the great reset of your planet, in which you will unify not only as a race, but with your galactic family, and together, using that feminine energy, you will have the comfort and the security of utilizing male energy, masculine energy, to reach out to the stars, to see what else you may become. And when you find it, the feminine energy will fill in and bring that wholesomeness, the wholeness to that experience as well.
So is it fair to say then that it's not just the Earth that's experiencing a rise in feminine energy, but also the rest of our planets in our solar system, our sun, even maybe beyond our solar system, there's a rise in feminine kind of all over?
You are unable to not think in human terms. All of the energies are present. It is how you utilize them. For instance, you have different degrees or strengths of your electricity or your magnetic energies. They are always present, but you use some of them. For instance, your major appliances will not run what uses your or what powers your electric toothbrush or your alarm clock or your phone devices. Your large machinery will require even more voltage in your terminology, but they are all present. It is how you choose to utilize them. That is the difference. They are all present, but your planet or your race has chosen to explore an imbalance of them, to see how those experiences work, to see what can be learned from them. And we do not fault you for having your human perspectives, and we are glad for them, for that is what we need to learn. And we are grateful for your expressions and your questions and your thoughts as well.
Well, that was all very fascinating. Thank you very much.
We are curious about your term, fascinating. Can you explain more?
It just has my thought processes really churning. Um, it has expanded my awareness about, like you were explaining, how all of the energies are there. So that's very interesting to me. It's like brain candy, if that translates.
We are learning. We thank you for the assistance.
Do any thoughts act like brain candy for you? Does anything feel extra juicy or savory or yummy to your
We
brain?
do not view and experience as you do. Our joys are in how we maintain the energetic balance and seamlessness of the energies which are necessary. The ways we create artistically are how we use the excesses of energy and how we support those energies which require or need a little energetic support. We have a myriad of ways in which we can do so, and how we do so is of satisfaction to us. And the more creative, the more satisfaction we derive from that. But that is for our own kind. Those nuances are imperceptible to you and to many beings. For once they come into the physical reality, they are closed in ways to those perceptions, or many of them are, because to know about them would not allow them the focus necessary in which to learn from the physical forms which they have chosen and this reality which they have chosen to experience in.
Well, maybe imperceivable, but it does give our imagination a fun challenge to try to envision and um, imagine that kind of thinking. Thank you so much for all of your insights. I appreciate it.
And for yours. Thank you.
I have a question.
Please.
So I started to think, why are the energies divided between masculine and feminine? Is there any way there's one whole non-dualistic energy beyond what we're thinking of as masculine and feminine?
Of course. And there are also realms with many diverse energies. They exist because you created them. You chose this expression. You had things with which you wish to learn or experience or grow in ways which are beneficial to your higher realms. For all is for the benefit of your higher realms. But in your chosen identity as humans, you do not think of those. And rightly so, because they will not fit in your conscious form the way you have created and designed it. But yes, if you can conceive it, it exists. For you cannot draw from the energies or the images or the imagination of something which does not exist. You are merely bringing it into your experience. And that may be a very grand viewpoint, which may be tough to reconcile or wrap your minds around. But you literally choose those expressions from the umpteen billions or trillions of possibilities. And it is that actualization, that choice which you make, which is of interest to many beings. For there is a fascination of your density and your forgetting, in which you help yourselves to remember, and the curiosities of why you think the things you do and make the associations that you do. It is of great interest. You are a species to be studied, much like many of your scientists and biologists and zoologists do with their respective talents on your planet. The search for new information, the search for new relationships, and what comes from that. We are not saying that you are an experiment under a microscope, but we are not saying you are not. It depends on your perspective.
Thank you for that.
Was that humorous?
To me, it was.
Can you explain?
um, well, to say that we're not an experiment, but then to say that we are. It seems like to say we're not an experiment might have been, at least I took it as being, you're being not polite, but assuring us. And then to say that we are actually an experiment just kind of discounts that in a funny way to me.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But understand, you are energy beings. You are not physical, but you think like you are physical. So you can say you are physical, and yet you are not.
Yes. Yeah. So possibly then if we are an experiment in the physical form, but yet we are not in our true form.
That is true of all physical forms because they are all illusions. For all is energy. It merely has different expressions. And your humor is one of the difficult facets of your communication because each utterance of it requires many different forms of context, many of which require searching through thought forms for relevance. And we appreciate the diversity of the forms which it takes, but it does require some effort on our end to be able to utilize that. And the image of the being data from your TV shows of the past comes to mind, for he struggled with that communication type as well.
It's also common for us when we are learning a different language, especially of a culture that's very different from ours. We have the same experience in understanding their sense of humor because a lot of it is based on cultural structures and societal structures that have existed for a long time.
Understood. From our perspective, it is a different form of energy, which can be derived from many different angles or facets or perceptions or perspectives. And we are amused and interested in how so many different variables may feed into that particular energetic projection. And thank you for aiding us in
You're
our
welcome.
education.
You're welcome. Thank you for the answer.
You are welcome.
I actually have a quick question. Are there any beings, physical or non-physical, that don't possess both the masculine and feminine?
Yes,
That just have one or the other or neither? Or how does that work?
we do not wish to demean, but did you not listen to the previous answer? If it is conceivable, it exists.
Okay, that's interesting.
You are interesting, and we really appreciate your thought patterns, your expressions, and all that goes on behind the scenes before it becomes vocalized. You are articulate and go through many different possibilities before you seize upon the one which you determine is most apt. It is a fine example of utilization of your mind.
Well, thank you. That feels like a compliment. I'm curious if you could give me an example of any kind of being that is only feminine or masculine or neither.
You have bacteria on your planet, which perform both roles. You have many beings, which have both masculine and feminine characteristics, or neither. You have those beings which exhibit parthenogenesis, which need neither masculine nor feminine to reproduce. You have beings on your planet which start out as one species, one masculine or feminine, and then in later years evolve into the other or both. So there are expressions of that on your planet, and there are realities which reflect that as well. It is all a choice. Is that sufficient?
I suppose so. Thank you.
You are welcome. We suppose so.
And I think that is it for everybody. I think that's it for the questions. Thank you so much for communing with us today.
That is it for the spoken questions.
True, true.
There are many other questions, and there are conversations which are going on, which are not vocalized to the group as a whole. We are learning from those as well, with permissions, of course. And we thank you all because it is your custom, and it helps grease the wheel for our further engagement. And we are students of your learning and look forward to not only furthering our creation with this one into your form of book, but in learning more of you so that we may peacefully come before you. Thank you.
We can't wait to see you.
How do you feel?
Sore. I kept that damn mudra going the whole time. My hands are cramping.
What's the mudra? We couldn't see it from here.
It,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, we kept
like
you under for a while.
like Bashar's, I guess.
Hmm. That was great, Ray. Thank you.
And thank you. It was strange. They were so forceful and they were trying. I mean, it was like they were pretending to be human. And they knew that they would fail at it, but they were trying to get as close as they could. I don't know, what was your guys' impression? Some of you have heard them before.
I didn't think they failed. I thought they did a great job.
Okay.
Yes,
They articulated great.
yes, compliments.
What is it you said that they repeated? Uh,
The
Possibly so or
soul,
something.
Oh,
or
supposedly.
It, I don't think it was supposedly. I think it was anyway. They you said it and then they said it and I started laughing, and then I felt something kind of like come in Like they were like, "Oh, what's she laughing at?"
Oh,
And yeah, it was like to understand why I thought that was funny.
Yeah, well, and
that's interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean they're seeing the energetic resonance and they're trying to equate that with the verbal communication and the facial expressions and the thoughts. And that's why humor is so weird to them because it doesn't match up. It's not efficient. It doesn't align, you know? And for them it's either efficient or it's not efficient. And that's the range of the emotions that they have. So, and they
Well, they expanded greatly because that they picked up on a sense of humor, or they created one with mimicking Anzu's response, like they said, "Yeah, bye," I suppose, or I thought that was hilarious. I was pissing myself laughing with that.
Well, I can almost assure you that that was unintentional.
I know, but
They weren't trying to
That's
be
probably
funny.
where the humor came in.
Oh my goodness. It was
Yeah,
good.
they're trying out words and phrases too to see what how you guys conceptualize and how your thoughts react to them. And
Yeah, when they said we're not saying you're an experiment, but we're also not saying you're not one of the experiment. That was so fun. And you don't think they were trying to be funny. That
no,
was very
they
funny.
wanted to be authentic. So, but they're thinking on a grander scale.
Hmm.
So, yeah. And I thought they were real. I thought the answer about the feminine sun was really interesting
yes,
Hmm.
because they were seeing it as, a brighter, a darker, a brighter, a darker. But it was as necessary because that was part of the plan of the physical reality expression to have that movement of fluctuation and then to see how all of the consciousness forms react to it and how it affects all of the environments in it. Because when they were talking about the masculine, they were talking about when the earth was originally formed and it was this hot, smoldering ball. And the sun's like, oh, we're baking this mother. We're heating this up. We're going full force and we're hitting it with all kinds of radiation and other things. We're giving it everything we have. And then when the water started coming in, they said, okay, well, now we're going to move into a more of a nurturing energy. And we're going to help them and we're going to help the processes to create the atmosphere and the environment so these beings can exist. And then we're going to know that the harmful rays are the rays which are the energies which are not as supportive for the life forms which wish to manifest. We're going to suck them in a little bit. We're not going to use them full force. And a lot of times you'll find out, like with the CMEs, the mass ejections, that, oh, they have these massive ejections, but oh, it's not facing towards Earth. So we don't have to worry about them. We have such a narrow band of those which affect us, and the sun itself is choosing where those go and where they come out of. Those aren't random. And that's the impression that I got, that it's a conscious act. And they're doing it so it's necessary for the grand scheme of things, just like the other planets, just like the three-eye atlas that came in. And
Yeah, I
it,
was going to
it
ask about that, but I
and it
decided
and it awakened certain energies and it provided certain energies which were beneficial for the experience that we choose to have.
do you think Three-Eye Atlas was more of the masculine energy, the thrust energy, or more of the nurturing
I don't I,
feminine?
I don't think it was either.
Oh.
I think it was more of an activating impetus. I mean, it had
Hmm.
it had the Lyran equipment on it because, I don't remember whether it was coming through Corey or through Travis, But they talked about that, and Bashar talked about that too, that there was equipment on it. And then, I think it was Corey when he first brought in the Lyran, the feline energy. They talked about that. But it was
Hmm.
more of an activating source, like you're doing a scientific experiment and you have phosphorus and you want to create fire. And then, oh, well, we're going to put this water on there and we're going to see what happens. And all of a sudden, you got all this energy form that pops out. And I think that's more what it was for. It was a waking up of energies to let them know, hey, it's time. React. It's time for you to react, and we're going to provide that impetus.
And that's interesting because I really liked what we finally got to. I was really digging in to try to understand the masculine feminine energy when it comes to creativity. Because I always thought it was one and he's saying it was the other. And I was like, whoa, wait. And then finally he said, okay, no, the idea of what you want to do, that's an impetus, but that impetus won't ever be able to even come about without the feminine and the masculine, in balance so that it feels nurtured and ready to rock and roll. So I wonder if that's saying something with 3i Atlas that we have gotten to a place where the energies are balanced enough that the impetus was able to come, you know what I mean, in that form at this point.
Well, they kind of they they hit me with, well, that's more of what we interpret as dragon energy, which is used for creative purposes. But it's more like you get all the ingredients in your cake and you have it all together, but you still have to put it in the oven
Still gotta bake it.
and you still have to have something to put it in, a container. And that's our reality. And then you put it in the oven, which is another energy. But you have all of that mixed in, and I'm not sure that that's the best analogy. But
That's a cute one though. I appreciate it.
well, it depends on how you decorate it, I guess.
I want cake.
I know now I want cake too. Mm. And we haven't even started on the icing. Yeah, I guess the
Oh,
decorating
yeah.
is.
Sprinkles.
Hmm.
Not for me. No, you can keep the cake too. Unless it's like made with smashed bananas and
Right, right.
stuff
I'm
like
sure
that.
there's
Yeah.
a way to do it.
Yeah, keep that sugary stuff away from me. Not that I get enough of it on my own. I don't need that temptation.
Well, that
Well,
was a
it was
that,
interesting. That's for damn sure.
yeah, a lot
They
of
really
good
made an
answers.
effort. They
What's
were
that?
really, they really made an effort. And
Yes, they
let's
Yes.
did.
have
I have a
And
Now you s-
question about
sure,
them. Are they, you said they like to be authentic. Are they also non-judgmental?
they don't think of it that way.
only efficient or non-efficient. That's only
Exactly.
judgments kind of thing.
Yeah.
It either
Okay.
flows or it doesn't, and if it doesn't, then it needs adjusted.
Yeah.
That's the only way they look at it. And I think that's interesting that they don't have those range of emotions. And that's true with almost every entity. That's why they don't choose to come here. They
And
can
I
look,
and you can appreciate it. It would be a nice reprieve
yeah,
from
I
what
mean,
we experience.
they can appreciate, the lack of love energy without experiencing the lack of love energy. But if that's something that they feel that they would learn from, then they do. And as a couple of beings said, it's only this, like Zariah, she said, it's only the strongest souls that will come and experience war death, as a child, to be bombed to bits or, to suffer that abuse because they can handle it. They have all of the experience and they want to get that severity of emotion so they can learn from it. And from our point of view, it's just ghastly. You're like, why would a being come in to experience that? But from their point of view, it makes sense and it helps them. It's all just experience. And it's just a wider variety of experience to choose from. And they can take that energy and they can use that expression in other realities to see how it performs or to see what it reveals.